Well, hey, this is Graham here at therecordingrevolution.com. Today I want to do an intro to Beat Detective. So this video is really for you Pro Tools guys out there, but anyone who's interested in Pro Tools or has heard about Beat Detective, this video is for you. In essence, Beat Detective is a built-in kind of plugin in Pro Tools, and it's been around for many years. So in one sense, it's kind of old school, but Pro Tools has kept it around because despite the advancement in sort of time compression and expansion technology and all sorts of DAWs, Beat Detective is an editing tool that doesn't use any compression or expansion, and a lot of people still like it because it's very clean that way. You don't have any potential artifacts from stretching. So it's used a lot in editing, and I use it a lot, and I wanted to show you it. Some people have been asking for a little intro to Beat Detective. So let me just show you the plugin real quick, and we'll edit some quick drums really quickly. I'll show you just the basic premise of what it can do, and that might help you get started. Right here I've got just some multi-track drums and a click, and this is sort of a drum intro, and they're a little out of time. You can take a listen. If you can hear that click, it's a little ahead of the click. He's a little excited. He's pushing the beat. So, and you can even see if we zoom in here, he's a little in front of the grid marker. So it's just pushing the beat a little bit. Not too bad. But this is the intro of the song, and if I really wanted to tighten it up, I could do this by hand, or I could use something like Beat Detective. In Pro Tools, you hit Command or Control 8. And that brings up the Beat Detective window. And there's a bunch of different parameters, but all you want to be concerned about right now is region separation. Because what Beat Detective is going to do is cut up our audio for us in one click. And then it's going to snap that audio to a grid in one click. And then it's going to clean it back up for us in another click. Okay? So I usually choose region separation. And what I'm going to first do here is make sure that I've got the tab to transient button engaged. And I'm just going to, I have a drum group here. So all of my multi-track drums are grouped so I can do these edits together. And I'm just going to tab over to this first hit and hit the letter B to break it. And I'm just going to scroll over right here and break it here. So in essence, all I've done is created a little section I want to work on, just this intro. And then what I'm going to do is get out of my drum group and go back to Beat Detective. And I'm going to select the kick drum. Now this is going to be applicable to Pro Tools 8 and below because for Pro Tools LE and empowered users, you only had one track at a time Beat Detective. Now in Pro Tools 9, you have multi-track Beat Detective, just like Pro Tools HD has always had. So you can sort of skip some of these steps, but it works the exact same way. You select what area of audio you want to edit, and in region separation mode, you click Capture, and then Analyze. And all I'm going to do is bring up this sensitivity knob. And if you look up here, you'll see these purple lines have started to line up. Basically, Beat Detective is found my kick drum hits. So I make sure that it's lined up, and I click Separate. If you look, it cut that kick drum region into a bunch of regions right on the kick hits, which is great. So I don't have to do that manually. And I'm just going to do the same thing to the snare. I'm going to capture, I'm going to analyze, and it should find most of them. And if it doesn't find them all, you can always drag the sensitivity knob up a bit, and that's going to let you capture a little more of the ghost notes. I'm going to click Separate. And so all I've done, guys, is separated my kicks and my snares right on the beat. And then since I have just one track at a time Beat Detective, I'm going to go back into my drum group. So now when I do an edit and affecting all of them, and because drums are multi-tracked, you want to keep them in phase. So any edit I do to a kick, I want to move the room mic and the overhead mic just the same amount as well, so that I don't have any weird phasing issues. So all I'm going to do is basically I'm going to come out of tab to transient mode. So now when I hit the tab key in Pro Tools, it goes to the next region, which means really it's going to go to every kick and snare region. See how it's going to shift? So that's a pretty handy feature. So all I can do is tab and hit the letter B to break all the multi-track drums up into the same regions. See what I'm doing here? I've now cut up all the tracks at this snare and all the tracks at this kick and all these tracks at the same kick. So I just tab break really quickly to cut up all these drums, just so that all my multi-track drums are cut on my kick and snare. All right, that's all I did. So now I'm going to select all those cut up tracks. So if you had multi-track beat detective, you could do that pretty much in one click, which is helpful. And the next thing I'm going to do is use Pro Tools built-in quantize feature, because in essence, once you've got these regions cut up, all you have to do is Command 0. Command 0 will snap any selected audio to your predetermined grid. And so I want to make sure that I'm pretty much just on eighth notes, because I'm just cutting up the kick and the snare. So Command 0, and you can see it's shifted all these regions. Again, only slightly. Let's take a listen now. All right, so if you didn't hear the click, it's because it was lined up with the click, which is beautiful. So it just shifted. Again, these are things you can do manually. You can tab to a hit, you can cut it at that hit, and then you can drag that hit to the grid. And Beat Detective just did that for me. It's really quick at finding the transients and helping you cut them up. And then the final feature, which I love, is I reselect all the audio, I bring up Beat Detective, and I choose Edit Smoothing. And this does exactly what you think. It's going to fill in the gaps. It's going to drag back the regions so you don't have these breaks in the audio, so you don't have the cymbals cutting out for a millisecond. And it's going to do all these crossfades for me. So it's going to fill in that gap and do crossfades all across those regions. And when that's done, you can take a listen to it. Nice and in-time drums with no artifacts or compression sounds or the cymbals getting weird. And in essence, guys, that's what Beat Detective does. It's really mostly handy for finding transients very quickly and allowing you to then cut up that audio on the transient without you having to do it manually. So yes, it's kind of old school, but you would be surprised just how intuitive it was when it was made, and so that's why it's stuck around. So even with elastic time, which again, I use that a lot too, Beat Detective still has a place, and I know a lot of people are asking about it. If you want more in-depth look at really all the things you can do with Beat Detective and using it more in context, I put together a whole video just on Beat Detective and elastic time and looking at editing complex audios. Just go to solvingbeatdetective.com. So if you want to dig in a little deeper, that might be great for you. But hopefully this serves as a little intro to Beat Detective, and you Pro Tools users, jump on it, play around with it, see what you can do. Guys, thanks again. This is Graham at the Recording Revolution. I hope you're having a wonderful week leading up to Christmas, and I'll talk to you soon.